Hello, welcome. We are working on signature number 1. That's going to go on page 1. We've already done the left inside panel, and this is what I have managed to put together for our page 1. Now keep in mind, everything I'm doing is from 8x8 papers. You can do this album in a 12, or excuse me, I'm backwards. Everything I'm doing is in 12x12 papers. And you can do this in an 8x8, but you'll just need to make adjustments for the measurements. Now, I've elected to use this piece as my base piece. On the back is this checkered. And my base piece is measuring at 8 3/8 across by 8 3/4 in the height. So I'm going to start off with a bottom pocket because I really want to keep this showing up here. And I just had a brain idea on that. We'll get to it in a second. So I'm going to do a pocket. I've used the reverse side, some scraps to put down here. I have a tag that I've cut out, mounted, and we're going to attach it here. And I've taken again a strip of scrap, and we're going to come through here. That will help break up this pattern a little bit. And then the tag is going to sit here approximately in the center, and then I will be adding some bling. I'll probably cut out the centerpiece. I might do that, but anyways, we'll get to that in just a moment. So I've already got this taped and ready to go, so we'll go ahead and get this started. Now, as we build this album, if there is something that I am doing, that I'm demonstrating, and you prefer not to, don't do it. Just make adjustments accordingly. I'll show you maybe a spot where you might consider that. It's entirely up to you. Get this a little more level. Dead blast it, and it's tearing. Surgery time. Come on. Just don't want that uneven edge down there. Okay, there we go. That will work. I am so thankful for Undo. It helps me a lot. You know, crafting is not perfect. You always, or I always manage to make a mess up. All right, but I'm going to glue this piece down. And I do both tape and glue interchangeably throughout my album builds. I use glue where it's allowed to spread, or it can be allowed to spread. And I use tape where I want more of a control. Okay, so put a real thin bead of glue on this guy. Not that thin, goodness sakes. Okay, so now what I'm thinking, if I glue this down and I run, okay, so I'm going to cut it there. Whoops, let's put it a little bit more center. Okay, I'm going to glue this down. I'm not going to make a tuck out of it, but it is something that you can choose to do if that's what you want. I'm going to bring it all the way down to the bottom so the red rims line up with each other. And I'll give it a good burnish so that glue will move around. All right, now I want to come in from the end. So cut it right there. Eighth of an inch tape. Burnish that really good. And I'm going to start from, I'm coming off the end just a little bit. I don't want to come all the way to the end because you're going to be folding over this and there's going to be enough of a push against the fold because of that. So I just want to come in just a smidgen and hopefully prevent too much of a situation where it's going to push back on us. But it's a Christmas album. We got to have some kind of bling in here. Just come in just a smidgen. Now I'm going to turn this over. It's easier to burnish from the underside because then I'm not running into this business here. Okay, so there we have it. And what I did a flash on, and I'm going to do it real quick, is I'm going to take a little bit of Wink of Stella and I am going to cover in these stars. Just adds a little bit of glitter to the paper. As you're moving it, your eye will catch it. There we go. All right, so let's start with the panel for our right side. This is going to measure at 5 1/8 across by the 8 3/4 that the height is. You're going to have a score at 1/2 and at 5/8. And I want to bring this right up to that 1/2 inch score mark. And then push back a little bit so you can kind of reaffirm your score line right there. Because we're going to add a magnet, we're going to need to put down this panel as well. And the same process. We're going to bring this right up to that 1/2 inch score mark. Give it just a gentle push so we can get up over that strip of bling. And then we're going to push back again to reinforce our mark. All right, so you're going to put a magnet here in the center. And we're going to put it on this one so that it lands correctly on this side. So I'm just going to place it right there. I'm going to take a tad bit of tape secure it down. And then I need to grab a piece of paper. Where'd it go? Now when I fold over, I'm going to make sure that my ends are lining up and that my gussets are standing up straight. I don't want them bending or flexing where they're not supposed to be. And then we'll take just a smidgen of tape to help hold that down. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's cover this side. We're going to work on the inside. I picked this lovely gold leafy piece, and you're going to work it on both sides. By the time you cut this one side, and I always cut the small one first, because if you ever run short on a piece this big, the easiest way to hide the shortfall is to put in a pocket. So cut your small piece first so that it's in there. We could put a pocket on this, but it's just not deep enough. Come on, come on, come on. And then be mindful that you're cutting to that first gusset mark that you've made right here. And then when you lay your paper down, be careful not to cover it. All right, so to break this up just a little bit and add an element of change in here, we're going to take from your scraps, and you're going to, I took this out of the scraps. It actually came off one of these cuttings. I don't remember which one, but it did. Okay, and we're going to come in here about the center. I'm going to glue this down so that it's not going anywhere. And what I've done is I've taken a very small strip of tape on the underside of this, because what I want to be able to do, and I'm just going to rest it here carefully because I want to try and be as close to the same. So I'm at 3.5 to that edge of the paper, and I'm at 3 3/4, so it could come down 1/8 of an inch. That's not much, but some of us have eyeballs that see everything, like whether or not that's level, which it isn't. Gee, Manise Louise. I'm leaving it. I am not going to use undo to make it. It's only off by a fraction, but my eye can see it. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of a bling. Now what? I had a piece. There it is. So I took one of the small clocks, and I'm just going to center mount it, glue it in. And I'm only going to glue the center because I don't want to get glue up here. So let's set the clock in the correct direction though. And then I'm going to take the same process. I'm going to put a little bit of bling here, and I might need to tuck it. Yeah, I'm going to tuck it up under there just a smidgen, not much. Oh, I don't even have that centered very well. What a ding-a-ling. Okay, we'll try that. I'm going to come in from the edge, and then I'll tuck under here what I need to tuck under. There we go. Now I don't think I have enough. Well, if I stretched it, I might. I do not know why, but these 1/8 of an inch rolls really like to come unraveled real easily. Now I'm going to come up to this edge here because I want to stay away, but not that far away. I want to stay away from the fold so that this isn't interfering. Okay. Now, the significance of building it that way is you can come up underneath it here, and it's a tuck. By only putting an 1/8 of an inch tape, if you put a 1/4 inch, it gets too tight. So an 1/8 of an inch tape through there, and you have a nice tuck. You can still mount a photo and then put your tuck here if you want. All right, so far these are done. Now let's work on this side. Because we have a magnet, that I'm taping this down. And if this is your first time working an album with me, I always, if I remember to, sometimes I forget, I get in a hurry, but I always try to tape down the panel that has the magnet, because if during assembly I need to adjust that magnet for any reason, I need to be able to get into it without destroying the entire panel. So I use a little bit of undo, get in there, move the magnet. Sometimes I misjudge the weight of a signature, and I've actually had to come in and move it up and add a second one, and it happens. You're putting something together and then you're going, that's not working out too well. Okay, so I'm going to be mindful of my score line. Get that in there. Now, with this being a nice big panel, and with something else I wanted to try and do, I am going to put a pocket over here. And it's going to be a fairly decent size side pocket because I wanted to use this piece. Now, I've taken some Winkostella to the ornaments, and I took some Winkostella to the bow, and I didn't want to cover this or add anything to it. I just kind of wanted it to stand out on its own. So let's get some tape on this. Where's my, there it is. Now, Scrap and Create is the online store that supplies me with all these items, and they also supplied me with this. It's from Scrap and Create. It's I think she's got it identified as a tape and tear tool, and I love it because I want crisp edges here, and doing the fingernail thing I got a lot of tears, so I'm totally sold on this. It has a pop-up. I've been asked what that is and where I got it, so there you go. It'll be in the description link, so you can just click on that link and go right to her website, and it will be right there. So I'm going to come down here at the bottom, and I'm going to run it right up along that score mark. And we'll put this piece in. Oh, what's this? Oh, that's odd. Got a little strip of tape that got stuck there. Okay. And when I am measuring for my paper, I'm an eyeballer. I don't actually measure this piece to the cardstock. I know what my eye wants to see, and I'm not, I measure these things. Oh, maybe it could have given you the measurement for this dude. I left this size alone, so you're going to kind of cut it to whatever size you did, but mine ended up being right at 3 5/8 across, and then this fit in there just nicely by the height. Nothing on that changed. Now I do want to identify this as a pocket, and I also want to add just a tad bit of bling. Give it a little bit of a shiny appearance. Oh, I'm over here. What a goofy girl. Okay, so there we've got that pocket. So then, go to your cutouts where you have your tags. There is this cute little envelope that you could do a dedicated message in here. And I simply scored it along the score lines, fold these two in, now I inked all my edges. I folded this up, I placed a magnet right there and one right there. So there you go. Now let's finish our outside, and then I'm going to show you what else I did. Here's some tape. I mean tape. Here's a magnet. So let's go with, make sure I've got the right side. Now where'd my tool? There it is. So then the front piece is the reverse side to this, and it has the soldiers on it. And I cut up a little bit of finagling that I had to do on this. So I cut up through here in between these two. So this piece cut ended up coming in at 4 1/8 across. And it's going to go down right here. Now, oh, finish telling you what I had to do. Okay, so here's this gold ribbon looking trim up here. So I cut right at the top of that. And then I came down here and I cut off just here under this checkered line. But I could not do that on this piece. So you'll cut this piece first, then you're going to trim your bottom piece. You can go ahead and trim the top, but I didn't want this up here to be too off canter from this. So I trimmed down here not to cut his toes off, and then I came up here and trimmed off some more of this, and that ended up trimming down to just about 1/8 of an inch, but I still have a visual balance between the two, and he shouldn't have his toes cut off, so there was a little bit of finagling that I had to do to get my cut to look the right way. And when I'm looking at a paper, those are things that I try to take into consideration. And if it means trimming off or up to something rather than cutting off something, I will try to do that. And I came really close to, so this is something you can do if it is that you want to do it. I almost fussy cut these out, backed them on red cardstock so that two of these would look a little bit more forward. But I felt it would be too much because of the staffs that they're holding. They get really thin and it would be really hard. So I opted not to do that. But if you want to, you could maybe come up here under the arm, then put it back on, but it would be a lot of work. So that is entirely up to you. All right, I've got a big piece here, so I think rather than wasting a ton of glue, I am just going to tape this on. And then I've got one more project for you. And then this signature will be done. Framing this, and then I'm going to run one down the middle so that it will stay against the cardstock. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the Wink of Stella across there, and I think I've got one right here. I'm going to do that too as well. Give it a little bit of a sparkle. I've got tape here. Now I certainly have enough silver bling. I think I'm also going to run a strip out here. So I will go ahead and lay the tape. adds a little bit of flourish to the front of this. Now before I go wink a Stella on everything, I did cut this out of the quoted sayings on the cutout page, and I am going to put that right here. Now I'm just going to attach it. I'm not going to build it up. I'm just going to attach it down. If you want to build it up, you can add some extra leftover chipboard behind here, or some foam pop-ups. Oh, and I just thought of something. Bear with me real quick. Oh, I'm gonna do it here. This would be pretty. So bear with me while I ink up my flowers. Such a nice way to add an elegant little touch. Okay, now moving back in here. The top of this piece of paper, it was or it was at the bottom. There is a band. It was this piece here was this quoted saying. So I cut it out, and it's going to go right here. Because you can't put you could put a photo there, I guess, but we're going to put this in here. All right, now we've got one more project I want you to work on. You're going to take a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock, and you're going to score it at 4 and at 8 inches. Okay? You're going to cut it at 6 inches in the center, and then you're going to score it at 4, you're going to score it at 8, and we're going to fold this, make a little accordion out of it. Then I took the piece of paper that has the musical notes on one side and with the ballerina, and then it was this beautiful soft floral design on the reverse side. So I did cut her out. It doesn't matter which end you put her on. I'm just going to set her right here, going to glue her in. This is going to sit popped up back in its place. And then you can either run this all the way through, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade off, because this is the reverse side, because you're going to cut this at 6 inches as well, and then you're going to cut it down to fit these panels. So if I do this on this side, then I'm going to have musical note, gold panel. I've got a gold panel in the wrong place here. There we go. There we go. So that's going to look like this. Now these are out of the cutouts. I cut them out. I inked them, and then I just glued them on here flat, so that if you do want to come in here with a full-size photo, you're going to cover this up a little bit, or you can cut your photo down so you can still see this. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start assembling mine. And I'm going to make sure that I glue around these edges so that they don't come up. And again, you're going to take a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock, cut it in half at 6 inches, take one of the pieces, score it at 4, score it at 8, make your folds, find this paper, and then trim the sheets to fit inside each of the panels. And you do not have to fussy cut if you do not want to. That's entirely up to you. And then I'm just going to set her back in here, but I just really love the looks that she is actually dancing now in front of the music sheet. And my not being a music person, I want to make sure that my music numbers are in the upright, because someone who buys this, who happens to maybe be into music, they're going to know that my notes are in the wrong direction. So I still don't know. Some of these are upright, some of them aren't. I still think it goes this way. Right, I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm going to do the reverse panels. These will give you a nice place to put photos. And you could journal. I see 2 double D's here, so that must be the correct direction to lay the paper. Or are they P's? Oh well, it doesn't matter. It's going to get covered up, so I'm not going to get my brain all stressed over. Okay, so there you have it. And then this is going to sit right in here. So you've got your tuck over here. And then you have a nice pocket over here. You've got the folded envelope. We've created a fold-out card, and you can still place photos here if you wish, but then you've got a nice pocket here. Ta-da! So let's go ahead and let's get our tape on, and we'll get it mounted inside the album. Oops. I would say that's the end of that roll. I like to use 5/8 inch tape. I don't use anything any less than 5/8 to frame when I'm mounting in the album, because I don't want it to become a weak point where you don't have enough tape to secure a connection. So keep that in mind. It's your choice. But I would much rather have this coverage than to have a 1/4 of an inch coverage holding all this in there. So then I take 3/8 of an inch and I put 2 in the center for additional support. I need to cap this or it's going to go dry on me here. right, let's put this in. Oh, let me look real quick. Make sure there isn't something in here we could add. These are the little blings that I got from Scrap and Create when she sent me the collection. And I'm looking to see if there is something we could get away with. Oh, this ribbon, we could get away with adding the ribbon right there. Or, yeah, bow. I'm going to do that. It adds just another touch to the front. And where did that go? And where's my... glossy accents? All right, I'm going to grab the album and we're going to get this set in here. So this will come in here and it will set like so, and I'll come right to the end here of this page, because I want to leave this open as much as possible so that when this lays over, it's not creating a bulge here. Okay, so I'm going to try and do this without turning this thing. Well, I'm only seeing two sides. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna line it up here. Here. Am I okay up there? Okay. Let me open. And make sure that gusset's laying the way I want it to. Oh, that's right, that was in 2 strips. I go to pull on that and it pulled short. I'm going, wow. Okay, I remember now. All right, make sure your gusset is standing up when you put this down again. Nothing worse than looking at an album and you see these things rolling or folding over. Okay. Give this a good old burnish. And there you have it. That is done. I'll hopefully see you back when we're going to work on the next one. Until then.